Hello, and welcome to my presentation on Dixie's Daughters by Karen L. Cox. Dixie Daughters, the United Daughters in Confederacy and the Preservation of Confederate Culture, made by Karen L. Cox from the University of North Carolina, explores how at the beginning in 1894, nearly 3 decades after the Civil War, the United Daughters in the Confederacy, or also known as UDC, became one of the most powerful organizations, shaping how the South remembered the war. Rather than fading into history, the Confederacy was carefully memorialized through monuments, textbooks, and cultural rituals. Cox showed us that this work was not accidental, it was strategized. Through their influence, the UDC ensured that the Lost Cause became not only a Southern narrative, but one deeply woven into American culture and memory. Understanding their roles helps us see why debates about monuments, flags, and Civil War memories remain heated to this day. Cox explained that the UDC promoted a very specific version of Southern womanhood, only rooted in loyalty to the Confederate flag and devoted to the ideals of the Old South. These women were not simply grieving for lives lost. They were reframing the Civil War as a noble historical struggle. In doing so, they transformed the Lost Cause into something larger, a cultural mission and vindication. The war was reimagined, a proof of honor, sacrifice, rather than a fight to preserve slavery. One of UDC's most visible strategies was the construction of monuments. Across towns and cities in the South, they raised statues, memorials, and plaques to Confederate leaders and soldiers. These monuments were not just about remembrance. They were designed to shape political spaces and landscapes, presenting the Confederacy as a historical and worthy admiration. Each statue was a silent teacher, reminding future generations of who deserved honor and respect. But their influence reached far beyond marble and bronze. Education became one of the most important battlegrounds. The UDC worked tirelessly to influence textbooks, insisting that publishers downplayed or even erased the role of slavery that caused the war. They promoted narratives that emphasized state rights, valor, and Southern honor, while admitting the violence and oppression at the heart of the Confederacy. They even created committees of textbooks inspectors who were only approving books aligned with their visions of truth. At the same time, they sponsored essay contests, distributed books, and rewarded children who were repeatedly their preferred version. Through these efforts, they planted seeds of myths into classrooms that lasted for generations. Cox also pointed out that the UDC's cultural power did not vanish with time. While their direct political influence faded, their symbols and traditions persisted well into 20th and 21st centuries. Local chapters continued to sell Confederate memorabilia, maintain cemeteries, and offer scholarships for descendants of Confederate veterans. Their cultural work ensured that debates over Confederate flags, monuments, and historical memories would continue to divide communities long after the war itself has ended. Perhaps the most striking lesson from Cox's study is the way that UDC used soft power. These women did not hold elected office, and they lacked formal political authority. Yet through social influence, public rituals, and control over education, they managed to define how the South and much of the country remembered the Civil War. Their efforts demonstrate how cultural ideology and memorial and memory can shape society just as powerful as laws or weapons. While reading Dixie Daughters, it really showed how cultural memory can be preserved and reshaped not through violence, but through tradition, landscape, and education. Southern white women who at the time could not vote or hold political office became some of the influential figures in rewriting history. By blending gender roles, ideology, and social power, they turned themselves into architects of memory. Cox's works leave us with the important question: who has the power to tell history? Whose voices are excluded? And what happens when myths are passed off as truth? These questions remain urgent today, as we continue to debate the places Confederate monuments and the meaning of Confederate flags, and how the slavery and Civil War should be taught in school. Ultimately, Cox reminds us that history is never neutral. It is consistent, shaped, and retold by those who have power to influence memory. As citizens, we carry that responsibility to look beyond the myths and demand a fuller, more accurate account of the past. Thank you for watching.